The 6 degrees of separation is the theory that every person on the planet may be associated by 6 or less connections. In 1929, Hungarian writer KRIXSUstv wrote a short story called Chain Links, wherein he proposed a theory of the 6 degrees of separation. KRIXSUstv believed that we're all connected to each other by a string of friends, but he had very little evidence to back up his theory. In KRIXSUstv's story Chain Links, he wrote about a protagonist who has a bet with his friends that he could relate with any one of the 1.5 billion people from the planet just by using 5 people, and this was pretty much the entire population of the world at the time. Over the years, there has been numerous attempts to prove that mutual friends might connect 2 random people. In the 1960s, a social psychologist, Stanley Milgram, carried out an experiment which did indeed confirm that 2 strangers could be connected through 6 degrees. In this experiment, Milgram asked initial participants to mail a letter through friends and then friends of friends. The goal was to send the letter to someone they knew so that they would send it to someone else, and so on, until it got to its final destination. Its final destination being a designated stranger who resided in the United States. Milgram found that the people who successfully completed the task did so with a chain of 6 or fewer connections. In 2003, Columbia University researchers released the results of their Small World research project, and this project was an internet version of Milgram's experiment. Participants across the world were asked to try to reach 18 people that they had never met by sending emails through acquaintances. Over 60,000 participants created 24,000 email chains, but less than 400 messages reached their final destination. However, it was found that the emails that were successful had an average of just 5 to 7 steps to reach their targets. In 2011, social network creator Mark Zuckerberg carried out a study he called Anatomy of Facebook. This study analysed the sets of friends of the over 270 million members of Facebook at that time, with the purpose of discovering how many links of separation exist between one member and the others. It is also worth noting that celebrities were not included in this study. The results reflected that 99.6% of the pairs of users did indeed have a connection between them of 5 degrees, and when the same study was carried out in 2016 with just under 2 billion members, the average distance was 4.57, and this corresponds to 3.57 intermediaries or degrees of separation. It certainly does appear that we are much closer to other people than we might have thought. In 1997, an internet site called 6 Degrees was launched. It was considered to be the first social networking site and the precursor of such sites as Facebook and Twitter. Hungarian mathematician Paul Erdos suggests that we consider this theory in a way that describes you placing 15 to 20 buttons on a table, and where one string connects a pair, connecting each pair, and the strings overlap, and as you pick up a button, only a few go with it. But as we add more strings, connecting more buttons, if you then go to pick up one button, an entire cluster of buttons will rise with it, representing a social network, and each cluster of social groups can indeed virtually connect you with anyone in the world. Just about everyone must have by now heard of or even played the game 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon. This game was created in 1994 by Albright College students Brian Turtle, Mike Gianelli and Craig Vass, set out to understand how many degrees of separation there is between any actor and Kevin Bacon. And so the basic concept of this game was that every single actor can be connected to Kevin Bacon, and the game was initially created after Kevin Bacon made a very bold statement claiming that he had worked with everyone in Hollywood or someone who has worked with them. The huge volume of data collected by the game allowed sociology researchers to analyse exactly how interconnected Hollywood actors really are, and they do indeed find that up to 6 degrees of separation do appear to exist. The data also illustrated that it is the people's random acquaintances, not their friends, that were the key to all of this. And it does appear that these 6 degrees of separation are now shrinking due to our heavily connected lives online. And so, according to this theory, each person in the world knows around 100 people, friends, family, co-workers, and even though it may be hard to list 100 people we may know, it is possible. Simply take a look at the list of friends on any one of your social networks, and if each one of these 100 people are connected to another 100 people, the number would increase to 10,000 people interconnected, and this is just in the second link in the chain. In the third link, you could increase the number of people you could possibly meet to 1 million, and 100 million in the fourth link. By the fifth link, you could reach 10 billion people, and this, by far, exceeds the total population of humans on Earth. The thing is, we can't possibly get to know each and every one of these people personally, but they would be easily accessible by asking friends, family, or acquaintances to connect you. It is also worth taking into consideration that it may be quite likely that many of your connections may in fact be connected to more than 100 people. Indeed, it seems there is much truth in the expression that it is a small world. Research actually discovered that all the people in the United States of America are connected by an average 3 to 5 friendship links. And some researchers believe that the small world concept may be entirely wrong, and that acknowledging this concept is nonetheless easy for many to accept. Believing that we may want to believe in the connectedness innate in being a mere handful of links away from another person in the world, as this provides a sense of security, and by some interpretations, short path links in social networks and small world properties are the architecture of connectedness, perhaps even boosting our longevity, social health and well-being. Interestingly, for many aspects of our individual lives, the strength of our social connections may matter much less than the actual existence of the connections themselves. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram and MySpace are just some examples of human interconnectedness, connecting millions and millions of members with each other, and so, when considering the whole concept of 6 degrees of separation, it can certainly make the world seem like a very small place. And now, thanks to the wonders of social networks and social networking, these connections have now shrunk from 6 degrees of separation to around 4. Researchers at the University of Milan worked with representatives of Facebook to conduct a study through the network. The research was to discover how many degrees of separation occur between two random people anywhere in the world. Over the course of a month, the researchers analysed links between people on Facebook, and this was carried out by using original algorithms to determine possible pathways between users. Through this study, it was discovered that the average number of degrees of separation was now 4.74, as opposed to the 6 degrees it used to be. When the United States was considered alone in this study, it was discovered that these degrees of separation shrunk to 4.37. As of 2021, Facebook has just under 3 billion monthly active users, and this is an amazing number of people. We currently have just under 8 billion people residing on the planet. Facebook has indeed reached a massive audience. Facebook's mantra has always been bringing the world and its people closer together, and it does appear to be achieving this goal. So not only do sites like Facebook bring us closer together, they also bring us into connections with certain groups of people, therefore lessening the degrees of separation. And it is important to consider that through the use of such things as social networks, we gain connections with more and more people, enabling us to potentially connect with numerous people from all over the world to whom we would not normally have had any contact with or even been aware of. And so, in ending, through 6 steps or less, you can come in contact with anyone in the world. Perhaps your favourite beloved celebrity is only a few friends away. So, no matter how lonely you may feel at times, one of your friends or even acquaintances may be the stepping stone that puts you in touch with the person who may indeed change your life forever.